Hey everybody, my message tonight is going to be about icebergs. Do you have icebergs around you?
No.
And as a Christian, are you an iceberg Christian where only 10% of your Christianity is on the surface and you're letting the majority underneath? Or are you showing everybody you're a Christian? Don't be an iceberg Christian. Alright.
Glory to God. Would you just make welcome Brother Josh?
Taking a little bit. Is that good on the? Can you guys hear me? No. Usually.
No, it's turned off, Josh. Hold on.
That was not on my end. Let's see here. Okay, is that better?
No.
No.
Just right on the microphone.
We'll do this old school.
One of the two of us is old.
Okay, can you guys hear me? All right, there it is.
Glory.
All right, how's everybody doing? Pretty good?
Very well.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, I never know what's better when you're preaching. Is it better to have a bigger crowd, or is it for a smaller crowd? You know, then you can really tell. Yeah, and you can really see the looks on people's faces, and maybe sometimes the disappointment or confusion, or get a little bit better read. I always feel like it may be a little bit refreshing to have me up here, other than my dad. Some of us, always say we all know it's gonna be a little shorter, and like my dad, he'll say closing, and some people may say that's, in the football, that'd be like the 2-minute warning with 3 timeouts. I say, man, we're not even in the fourth quarter when he says that. And I always feel like, one of the great preachers, I love Billy Graham, and I listen to him. I always think that maybe I might be, imagine me being kind of like him. He's got like the heavenly voice that's loud, and then the big hair, and then I come up here and I stutter and I'm bald. So, I know I'm not exactly, but anyways, to get to it, if I was, the title of this message would be about icebergs, and this was not influenced by the submarine that imploded a few weeks ago, but if we can go to Genesis chapter 13, verses 12 to 13. I'm gonna go ahead and if you can stand up. Okay. And it's pulled on the screen by now, so even if you don't got it, just look up here.
There you go.
Now the men of Sodom were evil, sinning greatly against the Lord. After Lot had separated from him, the Lord said to Abraham, "Look from the place where you are, look north, look east, and look west." 12 and 13. Okay, Abram lived in the land of Canaan, but Lot lived in the cities, the valleys, and set up his tent in Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were evil, sinning greatly against the Lord. Alright, and I'm going to go on prayer if you guys can pray with me and for me. Lord, thank you for getting us all here, God. Please let this message connect and touch to somebody, Lord. It's always grateful to have people that make the drive out at night. There's other things that could be done and people could be doing, but it's always great when we gather in your house, God. Just please keep your hands over me and keep all of us, Lord. And amen. Okay, you may be seated. So a lot of us, we know the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. And the thing with Lot, that the correlation I'll put between this and my message, is Lot chose to live next to a very sinful city.
Come on.
You know, and if you know the story, which most of us do, and you know what his wife really suffered for it,
That's
you
right.
know, and the reason I titled this the Iceberg is not to get close to iceberg. And the famous thing that everybody knows about iceberg is only 10% of it is above water.
Yeah.
People can be close to it and they don't truly understand the dangers
Come
that's
on.
involved.
Yes.
Come on.
I was gonna try to have it was I got late notice to Brother Davis and we've been having internet problems here. But I was gonna have on the Titanic, you know, Iceberg Ahead and all the, you know, in that scene, and they waited till they were too close until it was too late. And a lot of times that is how we are. We have things in life, we've let icebergs, things that we may not have a full understanding about how dangerous they may be.
Come on.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get comfortable living in dangerous waters with icebergs around us. Maybe it's habits of lifestyles we've developed that's let us settle next to something we don't realize is too dangerous. How many people start by drinking and then they may drink and drive once, and before they know it, they're very comfortable at it. And another thing I'll say a lot of times when it comes to these sins like that is when we're living that kind of lifestyle is one thing may lead to another.
Yes.
That's right. Come on.
It's be bouncing off icebergs, you know. Sometimes, how many times like bouncing off one iceberg led to another? Does one sin lead to another sin? Drinking can lead to smoking or adultery.
Come
and
on.
here's a big one is how anger or jealousy leading to hate.
Woo! Come on.
Everyone lets their anger and jealousy with someone fester, but they think that they have this thinking. I know I've done it too. You will let these thoughts fester, or you let these feelings for somebody fester, but you almost think that you're going to be set down with God or asked in a questionnaire, it's like, do you hate someone? And you're like, well, no, I don't hate anyone. Well, hate is a feeling. You know, it's not going to be asked to you in a questionnaire. And sometimes you develop a hate from someone because what you saw on the surface was just anger or jealousy, and you didn't realize that hatred was what was underneath, what was being hidden.
Yeah.
But then again, you let yourself get comfortable and get close to this. A lot of times we want to be close to these dangerous situations, you know, if we was to avoid it altogether. I think a lot of people, they get caught there almost in a transitional period where, you know, they know God, they know they want to serve God, but they may think, you know, maybe later on, and or they feel like they're serving God to an extent, but then they're filling their life up with things of the world and you know, the icebergs of the things. It'd be like if Eve never even gotten close to the snake, or if Solomon would never chose his first wife for political reasons.
Come on.
And to get comfortable.
That's
you
right.
know, when an anaconda is getting its prey, the first thing it does to get its prey is not lunging or lashing out. It's choosing the environment that its prey is comfortable with.
Wow.
And then it'll lie there and wait till it comes. And then once we get too close, we realize, you know, and it's almost, you know, I know some people, it's a terrible thing like drinking and driving. But that, I guarantee you, the first time a lot of these people, especially some of these people that may have killed somebody behind the wheel, they was probably a time where they did this and they were scared, they were worried. But then maybe a year or a few parties later, they were very comfortable. They've gotten away with it so many times. I was talking to my dad, and he was saying had a friend that had to serve some time, and he said, you know, the best thing that could have happened to me is if I would have got caught immediately. I would have known not to get too deep into this lifestyle.
Yeah.
But he didn't. He got away with it. It became easy. And before you know it, it took a chunk of his life away.
Yeah.
And that's and that's how it's made. What's funny, gambling can be, you might have success gambling for, the first part of it, and it suckers you in. If you think that there's no coincidence why they'll give you free money when you walk in, or if you join the app or whatever, hey, we'll give you $50. Like $50? Well, what? Yeah, there's a reason that they're doing that. It'd be like the snake saying, "Come a little bit closer," And I went back before I was saved. I always wanted. I really liked sports, and I thought, between football or fighting, I'd be good at gambling. And God showed me, and I think He chose to, protect me from that. There was one year that I would build up money on this gambling side, and then there was 2 games back then. I used half the money I did on 1 week. All I had to do, all that had to happen, I put half my money on my savings or the winnings on the Browns. All the Browns had to do was lose, like they did every game. And they beat a playoff team that year. I think it was the Steelers. Yeah, no, it wasn't the Browns. I'm sorry. It was the Jets. They beat the Steelers, and then the next week, I put all my savings to try and make up for last week. And guess who I chose to lose again? I chose the Jets. Guess who won again? The Jets. You know what the record was that year? 2-14. Right. I'm not kidding. And the Browns and the Steelers both made the playoffs. And I think I knew. I think that God may be trying to deter me from gambling. I don't feel like this was just. I don't feel like this was a statistic loss. I feel like this was divine intervention telling me, get away from the iceberg.
Come on.
Because who knows? Now, I don't think that me and the kids would be living in a box and I would have gambled. But I know people. My dad knows people where gambling has wrecked their life, and that seems like a very small. You don't hear gambling much. I brought it up just because I wanted to let the world know about the Jets winning twice. A lot of this was was going to come to drinking and getting comfortable, and it's not. It's all sins. It's all the things, and maybe what you perceive as a sin isn't, but maybe it may lead to sin. Maybe you're getting into the cold waters and don't realize you're getting close to these giant icebergs. You're in the surroundings that you shouldn't be in. They always said, is drinking a sin? God says, "Thou shalt not be a drunk." Does He say, "Thou shalt not drink"? I'm sure every nuanced Christian makes the argument that they can have their hippie beers and stuff and just sip. I think there's this cool image that if you're just hanging out and just sipping on a beer or something, God forbid a Bud Light, but something with a cool label on it or something like that they just feel like, I'm this hip Christian, or I'm this this new world. We need to be more more accessible, just take the edges off ourselves and let people show that we're bending Christians that can flex to whatever. And my dad, I used to ask him because I'd ask him about drinking. I'd smoking pot, any of that stuff. I'd say, "Dad, what's sin? What's not?" And then when I was older, he said, "Josh, honestly, it's like when you develop a relationship with God, God will let you know what is right and what is wrong. He will work with it." And when I first got saved, I think I did I think I smoked pot. I think I smoked cigarettes. I think I drank. Not all at once, but I think I was rough. And it just over time, first the cigarettes and the drinking went quickly. And then I would say that smoking pot. And I had the little vape thing. I wasn't Cheech and Chong and just coughing in the back room when they was like, "What's that smell?" I was very discreet about it, but I would excuse it with my dad, or say that this, it's like, oh well, I have this. I forgot what it's called. It's basically where your emotions are not regulated like normal people, and we could be watching any kind of movie. There's people that cry during a Disney movie, and then there's people that get emotional that every time a hero steps up, no matter what kind of movie. And I would be one of those that I could be watching something very mundane, just the guy shows up and does something, and I'm got a tear. And sometimes I would roll over to like anger. Now I would never freak out on my kids, but what I would do, because I would try to stop myself, is I would literally stutter while I was like, just go, And anyways, but then over time I realized, God worked with me, and I stopped. I just started down. I started getting away from all of that, all the dangers, all the things like that, and because like I said, one can lead to the other, and I cleared away from those things. And one of the things that, especially with pot, or maybe some people, if they smoke a cigarette and they say that it's stress or something like that, don't rely on man-made things.
Yeah. Come on.
To deal with,
That's right.
And the thing is, because you will develop this niche, this thing for it, where it's I don't want to put it as simple as you're putting faith in these chemicals or whatever, but I mean you're relying, that's a void that can be easily filled by God.
Yeah.
A lot of times. So, anyways, let's see how many movies. So, anyways, this whole thing, like I was saying, is a lot of people, they get comfortable with these things. I said the whole thing about one sin, drinking can lead to, smoking, or the anger can lead to, and sometimes having these icebergs, like the movies, or sometimes the stuff that we watch or something, or just the environment that we bring into our house and stuff like that. If you have a problem, maybe a guy has problems with thinking about a girl, or thinking, unholy, like adultery and stuff like that. Well, some of that is sparked by the very things that you've let in your house.
Yeah.
That you've exposed yourself to.
Come on.
And this goes back to how would Eve have been if she never would have stepped around that snake?
That's right.
If Solomon would have never chose the wife for political reason, if you never would have put yourself in the environment, if you knew that there was something, but and I know that sometimes people are in this environment because they're in this transitional phase. And, sometimes when I think of the transitional phases, I think of Moses when he went up on the mountain for 40 days.
Yeah.
A lot of people, they know the story of this, is that when Moses went up for 40 days, by the time he came back, Aaron, they created a golden calf. Now these people knew who God was. They seen His miracles. So I would think that these people, I don't think they were settled on the golden calf for the rest of their lives. I think that this was an in-between time in their life while Moses was gone, and they wanted something to fill up that void. Like I said, I believe that they probably, when Moses, they even thought about later on when he comes down, it's like, yeah, we'll go back to God. I think that some people, especially around my age, they kind of think that, they were raised in church, when they were younger, and then they kind of get caught up in the things of the world, and they think that when they're older, it'll be easier to serve God, and I will keep God, from a distance. I'll keep them, I'll say I'm a Christian, I'll go to church, but I'm not going to live for God. My dad, when he preached this morning, he was basically saying you need to choose, and not making a choice is a choice. And that is how a lot of people are stuck in this thing with they're letting these icebergs around, but they're thinking, I'm fine. Like I said, when I get older, I always thought I would tell myself when I get married and I have kids, then then I'll follow God. I'll do this. And then, that didn't happen like that. And the kids were older by the time, not like and going off to college or anything. They're still in the nursery back there, but they, I thought, as soon as the baby, like Haley, as soon we're gonna be in the hospital, I'm gonna be like, God, I will never ever, I'm gonna live for you from now on and stuff like that, and and it didn't happen that way. It's how's that old thing when you cook a frog to get them to sit, you don't have the temperature boiling because they'll jump out. You just slowly raise it up, and that's why some people that had all the intentions in the world of making the transition back to God never get that choice, or they've gotten too close to the iceberg, and by the time they said something, it was too late.
Yes.
And when Peter was walking, one analogy I'll use is like when Peter was walking on the water, when he started to drown and go under, it was because he lost focus because of the storms. And when we are introducing these things in our life that we know shouldn't be there, that would be as if Peter himself would have raised these distractions around him. And because he raised his own distractions that led to him drowning instead of being focused on God. And that's what that story is all about, is that as soon as he lost focus on God and focused on the storm, that's when he started to go under.
Yeah.
And like I said, could you imagine if Peter was like, if there was no storm and he just could focus on God, he would have been great. It's like Peter would probably be like, I can't imagine that you guys would raise your own storms around, or your own icebergs, or environment to keep yourself distracted from what's right in front of you. And a lot of times, that's how I think about it. Instead of having our eyes focused on the shores of heaven, sometimes I think that we're so distracted on maneuvering around the icebergs we've created in our life that we're not focused on the end game, and that's living for God and getting to heaven.
Yes.
Come on.
This message is a two-part message. It's the first. It's avoiding. It's this whole thing about what's on the surface, and they have that with sin, the 10%. You don't realize what's lying beneath. But then the other part of this is asking for yourselves: are you an iceberg? Are you an iceberg Christian?
Wow.
Is there only 10% of your faith? Are you one of those people that your faith with God, your Christianity, can be described from you putting it on your Facebook and your bio, right after you put all the cussing and all the filthy nonsense, but you said, I'm a Southern Christian man that tucks my jeans into my boots, and then goes to the bars and stuff. But I feel like, hey, you know what? It's in my bio. I don't know why people have to wonder, And we always talk about the stuff that we should be separating ourselves in the back from the rest. We should be very vocal and very, well known, especially for the people that are around us.
Yes.
Mark chapter 5, verses 14 to 16. A lot of you people know, if this is where God talks about when you have a lamp, you don't put it underneath the lampstand, you put it on top for the whole world. This is us with our Christianity, is that we don't need to have it hidden. We want it on the top, on the surface, where everybody can see. We do not want it hidden underneath. And sometimes I think that's, like I said, especially if people close to you should know how strong of faith you are. And sometimes I know with Christians and stuff, you may say you go to church to talk about God, but you may also talk about how terrible your wife is to your friends, or you may talk about, we had the minister team that came on, and they were talking about relationship and marriage and stuff like that, and they said, what kind of testimony are you going to give? Who's going to be reaching out for you to pull them out of the water when you are acting like you're right next to them, trying to, stay afloat just with them? Because a lot of times, I'm not saying this like, oh, so what you're saying is just keep it quiet and just say, not talk about, or not never talk about your struggles or anything like that. As simple as it gets, if you have struggles, don't worry about saving the world if your house is not under order.
That's right.
And that's a lot of times, if that's what's happening, you need to think about what's going on. But do not diminish your outreach to other people by showing them that there's no difference between you and me. I may say I'm a Christian, I may have this or that, but I have this whole, every mess you're going through, I'm going through too. Because those people are going to be like, well, there's no difference between us.
Yeah.
So, like I said, we should not be icebergs as Christians. We should have everything on. If anything, 90-10, flip it around, we should let everybody know. What's funny is the LGBTQ plus ultra group. They do a better job of displaying their beliefs than Christians do. They do. I mean if you don't have to ask one of them. I'll tell you that right now. If the haircut don't get you the flag or the bumper sticker, or they will let you know that they are a part of an elite group. And it's just, isn't it crazy to think of that, how that is now? And what's crazy is one of the things to me is the way that has happened. How Christians we are the Anne Franks. We are stored away, and then yet we have let the sinful. And I know my dad. Sometimes he talks a lot, about the groups of all these people and this stuff. But that's a hot topic because right now that is the spearhead. I guarantee you that nobody thought that it's like, hey, just let those guys get married. I know there's civil union, but I don't know why they would want to be biblical anyways. I mean, that's what marriage is, biblical. And that never made sense. If they had the civil union, why they gotta have the marriage thing if marriage is biblical anyways? So, but how did we get? It's like it wasn't that long ago when that happened, and now they're talking about if you're not okay in California. It's like if you're not okay with your kid transitioning and they're wanting to mutilate themselves or make these lifelong decisions, we will shelter them from you, you monster, for trying to save your 8-year-old, and probably never ever. I don't think anybody here would have thought that was even possible. God knows, and that almost goes back to the thing we're thinking that as a nation that we're gonna be saved. That we're gonna have this huge. I think that there's gonna be it's gonna be the oil water. There's gonna be the separation, and it's gonna become clear as day. And where you're gonna have the Christians, and then you're gonna have the there's all kinds of names you can have for them. They have too many names, to be honest with you. I look at it almost as Baal worship. I almost look at this child sacrifice is what it is sometimes. It's like that's what you're doing, to show. Especially if you got a very young kid. It's like you can't see anything besides a child sacrifice to show that you're one of them. You're willing to put your kid out there for it. But anyways, but that's where we're at nowadays, is that, like I said, a lot of people as Christians, we're the ones that are the quiet, that are the concealed ones. And then while everybody else, we're letting, not just regular people, we're letting sinful, we're letting evil parade around.
Yeah.
And we're being the quiet ones. if you had two people, if you had a Christian and it's so hard to try even say that many letters anymore. The first time I saw that, I thought it was a joke. I was like, man, they're making fun of these, them, and then it was like, no, they're really up to that many letters now, And anyways, if you put those people together, like I said, you would probably be able to realize one from you would probably be able to tell that this person has mental disorders and this person looks like an average, he's like a person, and even talking to them and stuff, you may not be able to tell they're a Christian and stuff, but we need to be able to start separating ourselves from. And if you're not in a position to be able to talk to people that are close to you about God, maybe because of what is going on in your own household, and you need to get your household you need to build from that inside out and start getting where you can be the lamp on the nightstand to shine to everybody and let people know, because people are going to be coming, they're going to be looking for help in these times. And when you're showing that you are separated from everybody else and you have something that all these other people don't, they will want to come to you.
Yes.
That's right.
And one of the things I want to touch on is just like these times have changed over so dramatically. It's almost like the standards. If you went back a few decades ago or whatever, if a movie had a few cuss words in it, it might be rated R. Now you watch kids movies that has just as much cuss words as the rated R movies in the 80s and 90s. And is your standards changing as much as with those times? Is our standards as Christians, are they changing as fast, as fluent as what they put in the movies and what they rate because before, I know that it was, if you was a Christian, if you was a God-fearing man, it was okay. You could say that, I'm against homosexuality. You have a lot of Christians now that they have been beaten down where they're scared to even say that. Because their standards have changed with the time. Just so you know, not to get too political, but if you look, Joe Biden was against gay marriage. Not that, Now, do you think he really cares? When now that he's talking about trans kids getting all this stuff, you think that he really cares about that? No. He's just saying whatever, whatever the world is today, he will adapt, just like a lot of those politicians and stuff, but we should not be like a politician.
That's right.
We should be we should be grounded and solid. Like I said, we should not be where our mass is under the water where nobody can see it. We should let everybody know, I'm here, I'm solid, and I'm not changing. My standard is not changing. And like I said, what's crazy is, I hope this doesn't get banned on YouTube. I don't think enough people watch it, but the word fag, that's looked down more now than using the Lord's name in vain.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy, isn't it? I mean, that now they will blurt that out. They will say, that will be considered like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that, you did this. But I mean, GD is so popular, or saying any cuss word with God's name in vain. It's like, how have we gotten a society? How things have just switched like that. You're pulling out. God is being pulled out, and this other evilness is being pushed upon us all. But anyways, I don't know. Do we have anybody to play? Oh, okay. I'm about to close and open the altars. I know this wasn't I hope this reached somebody, and then my message, to put it clearly, is I know, like I said, that some of us, we get comfortable living around these things that we should not be comfortable living around.
We should not.
We should not be comfortable with whatever movie or TV shows we're putting on. We should not be comfortable if we're like I said, the people that was drinking and driving, or that may have killed a family. You know what? That probably started off from them being scared to death to do it the first time, and absolutely comfortable probably the last time they probably wasn't even wearing a seatbelt. They were probably had the drink in the cup holder. Like there's, but that's how we are sometimes. And that's how, unfortunately, that's how with sin. It's the anaconda in the environment. They're not gonna do these big strides. There's gonna be this slow thing. There's where you are slowly, before you know it, you have if you may fill your life with all these dangers and don't even know it, and you may start propelling off from one to the other. And like I said, we need to be able to separate ourselves from Christians.
Amen.
We live in a day and age now. What's sad is there's a lot of atheists that read the Bible more than Christians do. It's true. It's true. And why do you think they're reading it? They're reading it for the easy victims, Christians that aren't reading it. Because I guarantee you, the hubris, that they will feel so good if they can catch you questioning what you believe on, because you just put it into the bio, but you didn't do you just did the surface where everybody could see it, but you didn't invest and have all in yourself and your belief and all the stuff like that, and you was comfortable with living, where the majority of what could be on the top, what could be great is investing in yourself and with God. You was okay with just having this little peck of ice on the top. It's like, well, you know what? I know I go to the bar. I mean, I know I do this. I know I do that. But hey, if anybody asks me, I'll say I'm a Christian. If anybody asks if I hate someone, I will say no. Even though you may do, But it's not going to be, like I said, it's not, if you think God's going to have a questionnaire for you getting into heaven, it's not going to be that way. But anyways, I'm gonna say a prayer, and then I'm gonna open these altars. Like I said, I hope this message helps someone that maybe, like I said, that if you do have these struggles in your life, or if you have these things, to just not get comfortable. And don't be like the people, the Israelites during the 40 days. Don't be, thinking that you'll just come back to God and you just need something in the transitional period. It's getting close. It's getting where, not making a choice is making a choice. And it's, I think it's time, if you are in that, it's time, because it's the lukewarm thing with God, it's that if you know better, it's always like a kid, when the kid knows better, when he knows right from wrong, when he chooses wrong, it's a lot worse than a kid that doesn't, And all of us here, I think we all know right from wrong now. We know that, if we're not, there's no excuses anymore. We all need to be, where we are focused on the shores of heaven, and not to be distracted by these icebergs we've erected in our lives. Amen. Dear God, thank you again for getting us all together. I am very blessed, and I love that you put me in this church and you put my family. Thank you for everything you continue to do here, Lord. This little church in this little town just has so much substance, and I love you for it, Lord. Please bless someone tonight in the altars. Please just continue to keep your hands over all of us, and just help us move forward in this. As the times get tougher, Lord, just make us tougher as Christians, God. We love you, God. Amen. All right, everybody. The altars are open, and thank you.
Open the eyes of my heart. I want to see you. I want to see.
Thank you for watching that message. I hope it meant something to. I hope it meant something to you guys. I hope someone got something from it. Like I said, this is about being not being an iceberg Christian, and it's also about not letting the dangers around. Don't be settling around the dangers in your life. You need to recognize them and get rid of them. Okay. So thank you guys for watching and being with us today, and stay tuned for more videos from Thomasville.